this is definitely the biggest hole I have dug in a long time. Sword, musket, bayonet. Oh my gosh, look at this.
Well, hey folks, my name is Brad. If you happen to be new to my videos, I explore the mountains of Vermont searching for treasure with my metal detector. And today I find myself standing in a very old road which does lead way up into the mountains of Vermont, passing by upwards of a dozen old stone foundations from homes and farms. Now, I was here months ago and hiked miles and miles to each and every one of those old stone foundations, and unfortunately it seems like people have metal detected here a lot in the past because I didn't find hardly anything. That being said, right on the other side of these trees is the home of the folks that actually own this entire mountain, and their home is surrounded by acres and acres of open fields. The last time I was here, on the way out, I decided to walk through one of these fields, metal detecting as I went, and I found some pretty surprising old things. So I'm back once again today with my metal detector to spend the day in the field to see what we can find. Now, this happens to be one of the first of my videos that you've seen. I publish one of these every single Friday. So if you like what you see here today, consider hitting that subscribe button or just come on back next week. I'm gonna get that metal detector turned on and head off into the field.
Very loud and big, seemingly. 75. Ooh, look at this though. Brick. Aha. That looks like maybe at the top of a tin bucket. All right, that's probably a lot of the junk that I'm hearing in this area. But this piece of brick is very encouraging. This is just a 50, but it's clean and consistent. Let's see. What's over here? Ooh, that's a little fragment of a spoon. That's a great sign. Home items. We're finding brick, we're finding spoons. I haven't exactly found like a big area of iron and nails and stuff, but it's not always totally clear, but generally if it's pretty flat, there's no boulders sticking out anywhere, the ground was tilled or plowed for agriculture. There are some boulders up there, but might have just been on this side. Great find. It's just a spoon, but it means people were here living, dropping stuff for a long time. Got a 64. Got, ooh, is that a coin? Thought for sure that was going to be a button. Oh, yes, it is. Awesome.
Well, it seems like we have our first coin of the day here, and it is a special one for me. You know, on most metal detectors, copper and silver register very high on the metal detector, high 80s, 90s. This is a nickel, which usually reads pretty low on the metal detector, and so they're easily passed by, especially in trashy places. If you're finding a lot of shotgun shells or pull tabs, you might miss the majority of the nickels. And this one just so happens to be one that I don't find very many of whatsoever. This is a V nickel. It's actually called a Liberty Head nickel, but most people call them V nickels because of the Roman numeral 5 on the back of the coin. If we try to read the date down here, I think I can just make out 1909, which is a significant date when it comes to coins because that's when the Indian head cent transferred over to the Abraham Lincoln cent that we're familiar with today. But the V nickels didn't actually switch over to the Buffalo nickel for a few more years after this one was made. And you know, it's funny, I did a lot of research on those old homes up in the mountains, but I didn't really do any on this area, mostly because the house itself is just so new. But very clearly, something was going on here, at least in 1909. Great find. Let's keep on going and see if maybe we can find something as old as those buttons that I found the first time I was here.
All right, we have an exciting target here. It is low 90s, clean and clear. Let's see. See the brim, something round. We've got an old coin here. What is it? Well, it's bent for starters.
Well, we have an old coin here, quite a bit older than that V-nickel I found earlier. This coin in particular has a very interesting shape to it. As you can probably see, it is bent as if somebody put it in their teeth and checked to see if it was real. Just kidding. This kind of damage we see on old coins is very common in farm fields where they're plowing every single year. Now, this is very clearly a pasture. They have not done any plowing here in seemingly quite a long time, but just as we were speculating earlier, it's very flat. There aren't a whole lot of smaller sized stones. I think that it's safe to say that this was at some time an agricultural field, especially because of the damage on this particular coin. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to read a date on this one, but it is a draped bust variety, and they were only made from 1796 to 1807, which is a pretty short early window and very much more in line with some of the other things that we're finding at this place. Not only is it just a very old coin, but it also tells a little bit of a story about this area. Pretty interesting. You can speculate a lot about a place given just one tiny little treasure. Great find.
This is just a low tone, 52, 54. Oh geez, it's out already. This? What? No way. Incredible.
Well, for some reason, one thing I always seem to find when metal detecting up in the mountains of Vermont, no matter how old the place is, are small musical instruments. Now, typically, I'm finding reed plates from harmonicas, but this little thing I just found is somewhat a variation of that. This is what I call a jaw harp. Now, I know lots of people have lots of different names for these, like juice harp and Jew's harp and mouth harp, and all of those terms are very much regional for where you grew up. I know that juice harp is extremely popular in the south of the United States, but I call them jaw harps because, as far as I understand it, these are one of the oldest musical instruments known, and they originated in Asia and Europe, and in the language that was spoken at the time, they were called jaw harps, and they translated over to English that way. In any case, they are a tiny little musical instrument that you would hold up to your mouth, and you would pull back on this little steel reed and use your mouth as a resonator for a little rhythmic musical instrument. Now, I know you can still buy these today relatively unchanged, but as I mentioned, I've only found a small handful of these, and all of them have been alongside colonial coins, colonial buttons, artifacts from the end of the 1700s. So I have to assume that that's when this one is from as well. Awesome, awesome little find.
This is just a low tone, just a 50. It's iron. Well, it's very pretty. Archaeologists are going to cringe when I do this. You can see there's even more decoration down here. We've got some beadwork around here. I assume that's to a stove. It's almost like a stove door. I always ask myself how you find chunks of things like wood stove. Like, did they break it apart themselves? I can't imagine it just fell apart, right? What's the story? Very pretty piece anyway. Well, I was just in that pasture right there, walking up through. All of the brick and stuff I was finding was down over the hill. And I came up through and I noticed this, which certainly looks like a corner of an old foundation. Now, the road or the driveway up to the home is right here. So it's possible that this was built as like a retaining wall of some kind for that driveway, but I don't think so. This looks like a giant threshold stone. I was up here doing some detecting and I noticed this piece of iron. Now, this was a reenactment because I already pulled it out and looked at it. But look, this is exactly what happened when I pulled it out.
Well, it was just a few weeks ago now, I actually found another one of these, a much more modern version. And truth be told, in the moment, I had no idea what it was. But many commenters below that video where I found it knew exactly what it was. And they let me know that it was a hoof pick, a pick used for removing dirt and rocks out of the hoof of a horse. This one, though, is definitely not modern. Not only because I found it sticking out of an old stone wall, but because it appears to be hand forged, and I would guess more than likely by the people that lived here hundreds of years ago. I love finding things that have just not changed at all for hundreds and probably thousands of years, like this very simple tool, the hoof pick. As long as people have been riding horses, they've needed to pick rocks out of their hooves. Such an awesome find, and what a way to find it too, right? Sticking out of an old stone wall. People are always saying, do you check those stone walls and old foundations with the metal detector to find like a jar full of old coins or something? Well, yes, and unfortunately I have yet to find one of those little jars or bags of coins, but this little treasure I think was worth checking it out. Awesome little find.
76. That is a big button. Whoa! It's the basket weave pattern. This is definitely end of the 1700s, maybe a little earlier. Beautiful find. This is an old button. Only once have I found this particular button with gold plating still on it, and it was beautiful. Been finding a lot of buttons today, but so far this is the best. Nice and old and pretty. A really nice loud 79 right here. We got a creepy crawly. Larva of some kind. Unbelievable. Is that another coin? I think it is. Well, I've been sitting here for probably about 10 minutes staring at this coin, and it may be the smoothest copper coin I have ever found. There is absolutely zero indication of what it could be, but we have some clues. It is basically the exact same diameter as this large cent, but maybe 2/3 the thickness. Because of that, I'm going to say, I think, with enough evidence here, that it is either going to be a British or possibly a state colonial copper. It was in circulation long enough, rolling around in people's pockets and coin bags, that it is totally smooth. But still a great find. Old copper coin. I suspect they still would have been able to spend it 1 cent back then. Still an awesome find though. Passed through a lot of hands. 87, 86, 87. That's really good. very stuck. I can't tell if it's iron or brass though. This is probably not worth the effort. But I am really curious what this is now. Whatever it is very stuck. What the heck could that be? You see it sticking up there? It is as solid as anything. It is not budging. Well, this is definitely the biggest hole I have dug in a long time. Oh, am I gonna give up? Can't give up now, right? Oh my gosh, look at this. What is it? Now, I took some time to catch my breath, and I have no idea what this thing is, or if it's even worth showing you, the audience, but I just spent 20 minutes digging this thing out of the ground, so you and I are in this together, and we're gonna look at this piece of iron I just dug up. Can we tell whether it's old or less than 50 years old? Not really. It's not really all that rusted, but that's not always that uncommon when it comes to steel that's been in the ground. I'm wondering if this was actually hammered into wood and used as a handle or used as a step. I have no idea. But it is not a musket or a sword or all of the wonderful things that was passing through my mind over those 20 minutes as I was digging it up out of the ground. Maybe one of you have an idea what this thing might be. Is it from 50 years ago? Is it from 250 years ago? Let me know what you think about today's mystery treasure. Treasure might be a bit of an overstatement, but let me know what you think anyways. Well, I don't believe it. We have another beautiful high tone here, 92, 93. I don't know, we'll see. What do you think, coin or button? It certainly looks like a coin to me. It looks like an old one too. Well, I can't believe it. I can't remember the last time I found so many old copper coins in just one afternoon. Unfortunately, this particular old copper coin is a lot like the last one we found, except it is very smooth and relatively unidentifiable for a different reason. The last one was very clearly smooth because of circulation. This one, it seems like it has deteriorated in the ground due to, you know, who knows, maybe the fertilizer, maybe just the composition of the soil. In any case, it's very hard to tell what it is, but if we spray it and hold it in just the right way, I do believe I can see a British king facing left. I can confidently say it is a colonial coin, whether it's a British coin or maybe a state coin. It is more than likely from the end of the 1700s. It seems like every single coin that we find here, they just continually get older and older. Places like this do not turn up very often. Unlike those foundations up there, which have been metal detected for years and years and years, and almost everything is gone, this place has definitely never been metal detected until now, and it shows because in just a couple hours we have a handful of old coins. All right, folks, well, that is going to do it for me today, and what a pleasant surprise this was. In just a few short hours here in this field, I found way more than I found after 2 or 3 trips hiking miles and miles up the side of that mountain. It just goes to show that you can find treasure just about anywhere you look here in the mountains of Vermont. We found some awesome stuff. A whole bunch of old coins. Of course, the wonderful little jaw harp buttons. I spent a good part of the day digging up this mystery piece of iron, and I think, as silly as it is, my favorite might be that iron hoof pick we found shoved in an old stone foundation.
Now, if you enjoyed today's video and you'd like to see a longer version, consider becoming a Green Mountain YouTube member. All the information for that will be in the top comment down below this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully I will see you next week for another new adventure somewhere up here in the mountains of Vermont.